Yo, 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 and welcome back to Creeps and Crimes
Podcast.
I'm Taylar.
And I'm Morgan.
And I'm Arletta.
And this is episode 83.
I literally had no idea
She's back,
She's
bitches.
back, bitches.
Guys, did you miss her? I mean, only the OGs that really have been with us
OGs.
Like, was it episode 5?
Episode 5. We were just talking about that. Episode 5. And
Bell Witch.
I started crying at breakfast.
She was sobbing.
Taylor's like, are you crying?
It's the second time she's cried.
I'm just so proud of both of you. Like, I'm not going to cry again, okay?
I see them coming.
I'm really proud.
Stop
I really
it.
am. It's so beautiful
Yeah, let me
to
just hold my
see
mic, 'cause-
two friends just succeed.
Yeah, it
Aw,
is. It's
we
so
love
fun.
you.
In a medium that I love too, you know? So
Yeah.
I connect deeply to it.
Oh, yeah, plug yourself before we move on. If you
Oh,
forgot.
well, what I was going to say is I think actually a lot of your OGs have followed me on
Oh, yeah,
Instagram
they
on
have.
Stay Open.
Yeah, they have.
Because I have a podcast, Stay Open podcast. So people come on over if you
Yeah.
wanna
Yeah,
take a
check
gander.
her out.
So
You can like listen to this fucked up episode and then go listen to a happier episode.
you're definitely going to need it.
Yeah.
After this.
It'll be the follow-up therapeutic episode that you need.
Yeah, I don't know what either of them are bringing to the table, but just both of them have said it's really fucked up.
It's so fucked
And
up.
I feel like I'm going to be the part of the audience for those of you who listen are like, oh, I like listening to murder podcasts, but when it's light, when it gets gory, I stay up for weeks. So that's going to be, I think, what's coming my way.
Yeah,
It is.
It definitely is.
It definitely is on my end, too. And I know yours is gory, too.
It's not. Well, it
She
is
hasn't
gory.
she hasn't told me what it is, but she's told me like this one's fucked.
It's
and I was
fucked
like,
up.
really?
Like-
You chose this one? Because I chose the worst one I could choose.
Like, I finished it and I laid in bed and I told Aaron the entire case again.
Oh my god.
I was like, you
love
have
it.
to hear this. And he, you know, he had some dental work done yesterday.
Oh, Lord.
He was
Is he down bad?
Oh, down bad. He was so dramatic.
It's boys. They are dramatic.
He was laying there.
No.
I'm like, are you kidding me?
Are you serious?
You don't
Get me a
understand. It hurts so
water.
bad. I'm like, I don't understand. I've lived at the dentist. Do you know the amount of dental work I've had?
Literally. And then on top of that, we have like periods every single month. Not even to mention childbirth. But a man gets sick or a fever once and some dental work, donezo, dead.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. Anyway, so I was telling him the whole entire story last night, and he was like, he was still numb. It was so funny.
Oh
He's
my
like,
God.
That's not crazy.
That reminds me of the Kardashian episode with Courtney, who has her lip like that. That was Aaron last night in bed listening to you.
That was.
It was
No, do you
funny.
remember that one time I got dental work and my entire face, they
Yes.
they were supposed to only numb the top and they numbed the bottom on accident.
No, thank
So my
you.
entire face was numb and then they had to put the reversal in the side that they screwed it up on and I couldn't open my mouth for like 2 days after and I was numb.
I think we actually moved a recording for that.
We had to. It was a holiday.
I
It was
can't
a holiday.
stand that feeling. I really don't like being numb
It was
in my
Thanksgiving.
mouth.
It was Thanksgiving that happened to me.
Oh, God.
Yeah. I was like, okay, this is sacrilegious for you to do to me on my favorite holiday where binge eating is absolutely accepted and okay.
Held
the
you
only
back.
time, yeah.
Yeah, it did. It really it held me back. I didn't even get a piece of pumpkin pie.
Well, you could have eaten pumpkin pie.
No, I didn't get one
Yeah,
because
of all the consistencies of foods, it's like mashed potatoes and pumpkin pie you could have taken
right,
down.
but I hadn't eaten in so long, so I was pounding the mashed potatoes and all the things. I was
you're
like
like, I need to
sucking
throw
on
up.
Coke ham like an idiot. And then by the time I got to the pumpkin pie, I was like, I can't stomach this. I can't
And
do
I
it.
also can't feel it in my
I can't feel it in my mouth. So that means it doesn't go to my stomach, right? You can't feel it in your mouth. That's the rule.
Oh, pumpkin pie is the best, actually.
It is.
Thanksgiving.
It's
top notch.
my favorite thing.
And so many people have like something against pumpkin pie. Like why do people have like what's the word?
A hate relationship.
hatred.
Not a
No, a
love
lot of
hate.
people
It's a
hate
hate. Yeah, I don't get it either.
And it's not even like I'll try it. It's like, no, I rebuke that in the name of God.
Yes, I couldn't even make pumpkin pie when Zach's sister and her boyfriend was over for Thanksgiving and my sister was there. None of them liked pumpkin pie, so I made pumpkin pie cookies and I ate them all myself.
Yeah. Oh my God. Are those the ones that
With
you
the filling on the
Oh,
inside.
oh my God.
shit.
Arlette, I mean,
Unbelievable.
Morgan, these cookies,
Are they like cream
we took them to
cheese?
Tybee Island with
Yes,
us.
they had cream cheese frosting on top.
Stop.
Because
I'll
on
go
the
buy
inside,
some.
you
Actually,
bite
can you
into
make
them.
me some tonight?
Yeah, you bite into them and then it's the pumpkin pie filling. So like the cookie's the crust, the inside is the pumpkin pie filling, and the top is the frosting. It is
And the cookies were like those cake cookies that probably have so many GMOs in it that it literally causes cancer. Like the cake cookies. Yes. Yeah. They have the frosting on top.
Anyways, it was unbelievable.
That sounds fucking
I got
amazing.
them from TikTok, the recipe, if anyone's interested.
Yeah, we're all interested.
Yes.
We're all interested.
Yeah.
Go ahead and post that.
You guys interested? I knew you'd be interested. Oh, by the way, if you're watching on YouTube, surprise, well, as of right now, let's see how this goes. As of right now, you're possibly going to be getting a full episode, intro and all.
Oh, shit.
So this is intense.
Look out.
We'll see.
We'll see. And you know I always say that, and then immediately computer crashes. I'm back on the phone with Jeff from Apple.
Jeff's back.
Jeff's
what are you
back,
wearing?
bitches.
Jeff.
Wait, you guys.
What?
Do you guys have like a Team Creep and a Team Crime merch?
Well, we don't have Team Creep, Team Crime merch.
Because no one would buy any of mine.
Morgan.
That's not true, Morgan. I'm Team Creep.
She's Team Creep.
I'm not Team Crime.
And people are like blowing your shit up. And like, Morgan.
No, I'm Team Creep.
Listen.
You know this. I am not a Team Crime.
No.
Listen, I'm giving them a true crime today, so they better be fucking happy.
Oh, shit.
A true crime conspiracy.
Conspiracy?
Yeah.
Oh, God. Okay.
It's a real story.
All right. Well, anyways, that's what you should do. I need a Team Creep and a Team Crime. I'll obviously support both. Everyone needs to support both. And yeah.
Did you hear that?
Did you hear that? Bitches
You
out
can't
there?
even get sensitive about that shit. Everybody was Team Creep in the beginning.
No.
Yes, that is true.
No.
Yes, it was. Whenever we first started in season 1, the majority of the people we had were Team Creep.
No, I remember running a poll and I lost.
That was in season 2 I ran that poll.
No.
I didn't run that poll.
You're hurt about losing.
I'm hurt.
It's
yeah.
sore.
I'm hurt.
I could
I'm
see it.
Still,
I can
I'm
feel
so
it.
We're
offended.
never running another fucking poll.
Like,
No,
Team
Creep and
Creep or Team Crime, you guys.
Team
We're like
Creep,
Morgan. I mean,
Leave
Arletta,
the
that's
comment.
the
Literally leave a comment. Or not a comment. What is it? A review.
A review.
And just put Team Creep or Team Crime.
And then say that you love us.
And then it better be fucking 5 stars.
Yeah.
If it's not, fuck off.
Yeah, literally.
And we'll see it too. Okay?
Yeah, catch us on the next Shots Fired if I
We
see
need to have
another
a new one, but really we have no hate.
I think we scared the shit out of people after that Shots Fired. That was intense.
I scared the
Have
shit.
you ever seen Shots Fired?
Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah, I sent it
scared
to
the
you.
shit
There's
out
power
of
behind it.
myself, actually, on Shots Fired. Because I was hammered.
My eyes in the end were terrifying. And I had to cut half of the fucking shots out because we were talking nonsense. There was 14 actually in all, and we only counted 8 on the episode. There was 14 shots.
Yeah.
That content that is sitting on my computer will never leave that computer.
It should. Actually, I recommend it leaves.
I
think
recommend
people
that
would
it
like
goes
to
in the
see it.
trash.
I think
immediately.
people would like to see it.
Oh.
They would.
I don't think we could do
Everyone loves
I don't think I could edit
get
it.
drunk ready with me, get hammered while we read whatever. I love that. I'm here for it.
I do too, but not when I have to edit it.
Yeah,
and
not when you
see
have
that.
to watch yourself slowly
I
go
was
downhill.
like, oh my God, did she just die? Did Taylar just die at one point? Eyes shut, gone. Morgan laughing, talking so much. You know Morgan doesn't ever ramble because I'm the rambler.
Oh my God. No, I went on like this full depth story about this thing that happened to me when I was like way young.
Yeah.
Okay.
Morgan was
And I
reliving
was just
childhood trauma.
I was just name dropping the shit out of
dropping.
people, and like we had to take the whole
We had to get rid
out.
of the entire thing. And there's like a random, really interesting cut in the middle of, towards the end of Shots Fired, but it was in the middle of like a flowing conversation, a dramatic cut. We're sitting at the front of the couch in that part, immediately in the back. I'm like, how do y'all not know that there was a massive cut, y'all? That was something dangerous.
And
By
then
the way, if you want to know what Shots Fired is, it's on our Patreon content. Go check it out.
$5
I was
a month.
gonna say $5 a month Patreon.
Yes, and it gets you a great drunk ass video of Morgan and I.
Yeah, at the end, like we literally moved from the couch to our faces up in the camera. Like our noses were touching the lens.
People probably know. I don't know. I don't think people are sitting there thinking like, oh my God, they must have said something. Maybe they're like,
were
they went to
doing
the bathroom.
heel stretches on 5, 6, 7, 8 heel stretch.
We were spilling the tea about people from home. Like it was dangerous. What were we doing?
Reckless.
Reckless.
Yeah, it was
Freaking
reckless.
reckless.
Next one's not going to be called Shots Fired. It's going to be called Reckless Endangerment.
It's gonna be called Sober Fired.
Sober fired.
can't take any more shots.
Oh my gosh, no, that was funny.
Yeah, that was
Scary
funny.
though.
That's hilarious.
But what do you guys got going on this weekend? Arletta, what are you doing here? Like,
Yeah,
Oh,
Arletta,
yeah.
let's talk
well,
about you.
I'm just passing through.
yes,
It has literally been a year.
it's been a
I
year.
can't
Since
believe
I've been
that.
sitting in this room, been around this room, in this town. I miss it. It's beautiful here. April's like my favorite month. April and May, I was telling Taylar, it just looks glorious outside.
It does.
But I'm passing through because, well, people are going to be like, what? This is not on the way. But I'm going to St. Louis, Missouri, Fort Leonard Wood. And Taylar and I looked it up, and it was only like an hour and a half out of my way to come up here. So I decided to just come up here because I'm moving to Colorado.
So sad.
It's kind of exciting for me.
I'm excited for you, but
sad
hey,
I will see you more with you in Colorado than
Colorado.
you in Georgia.
No,
Right.
you will.
Yeah.
You will. Oh my God. I'm so excited. Anyways, I'm moving and I wanted to come up here, but I'm going to Fort Leonard Wood because Zach is competing in what's called Best Sapper, which is a competition. It's like a 4-day competition where all of the sapper engineers that are a part of the competition compete to see who's the best one.
dope.
So
That sounds intense.
He's gonna do so well.
It is so intense. He's been training since January. I've never seen someone decide, like, he decides in an instant if he wants to do something, and the minute he decides it, it is like the most dedication to anything. I'm so inspired living with him.
Yeah, I'd be inspired.
I'm not that way. And of course, if you're a girl, you'll understand this listening. But he says it in January. He's like, I'm going to start training 2-a-days, doing crazy shit, all this stuff, because he's training for this competition. I'm like, okay, I'm going to get my summer body. I'm starting right now. And like, of course, I go on vacation. Then I'm eating bread.
Right.
Now I'm like the same weight, which is fine.
That's fine.
I've, maintained at least.
Yeah.
But he's like, oh, I've lost 16 pounds from
Jesus
this. Like,
Christ.
I'm so small. I'm so sad about it. I'm over, men.
I'm done.
Done.
A man's like, I think I'm gonna lose some weight. Loses 18 pounds just
that's
because
him.
of the thought.
And he has the audacity to come to me and say it in a way of like, oh, I lost 18 pounds. I'm like, do you want it from me? Take it. Here, have it. I will
Go
give you.
grab a pair of scissors.
Screw my kidney. Have all my fat. Take it. But yeah,
he stabbed right through it.
he's a badass, and I'm excited
is
to
a
see him
badass.
compete.
He is a badass.
I'm just mesmerized by Zach's whole entire life.
Yeah, me too. And I live with him. So.
Yeah, it's so cool. What are you doing this weekend?
I'm going on, well, we're pre-recording.
Yeah.
So when you guys hear this, I will already have been on. You'll probably see some pictures, hopefully, if I don't hate all of them. But
Good God.
Morgan.
anyway,
You will see photos.
I'm
Okay?
going on Sorry Marley's bachelorette party. So it's going to be a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun things planned.
Where are you guys
And,
going?
We are going, we're staying in near like Anna Maria Island.
Oh,
But
nice.
we have a lot of our like events planned in St. Pete and Tampa.
Oh,
And Sarasota too, because we're
beautiful.
kind of in the middle of all of it.
Okay, that's
So,
nice.
yeah, it'll
Nice.
be fun.
Bopping around.
You're gonna have
Yeah.
so much fun.
Bopping around.
Your fits are great.
Yeah, you guys, guess who's coming back this weekend,
Oh
guys?
shit.
Kylie is coming back. Arletta,
Oh,
the wig
shit.
is coming
I
back.
was gonna say
I
it.
actually got a new one, but because my other one was just like a
Ratty.
ratted. Yeah.
we need to frame it.
Traumatized.
So, yeah, we're traumatized. It went through too much. It went through. Anyway, so I got a new wig. And when we were picking our colors, I was like, I have to have light blue. And my sister's like, why do you have to have... I said, I have to have light blue.
I have to have it. It's my identity.
I have to have it.
I can do anything in
So
that
then I
wig.
ordered one off Amazon. It's actually a two-tone. It's got like money pieces.
Ooh, I'm here for
when it
that.
came
That's
in, it's like freaking royal blue. But whatever. It's a new Kylie. It's a
Oh,
new
you didn't
me.
bring it
Ooh,
over. We're supposed to
updated.
cut the bangs.
It's okay.
Okay.
It's
We'll just pin
updated.
them. I'm just
just
going to
pin
pin
'em.
them back.
You're
Like
just
I did the
gonna
other
pin
one.
Also,
Yeah.
watch a video and just...
Just take
Let
your
me
little
just
face.
show you a picture right now.
Yeah,
while
let me
we
see
do-
it.
While
Let
we're
me
on the
see it.
mic. So it's all like monochromatic. So if you're wearing a blue wig, then you're in all blue
I love
outfit.
that. I'm doing that for one of my days.
Yes.
For my bachelorette.
Oh yeah, Arletta's is coming up in June.
Morgan,
She's back.
That is amazing.
That is
that
hot.
the
My
outfit?
face. Yeah, that's my outfit.
It fits your outfit perfectly.
Perfect.
Okay, Morgan, you have to take a photo.
You have to take a
She's
good
back.
photo.
Like, this is being documented here. Do not let her forget, everyone. You need to see a photo of her
my
outfit. That's
God.
fire.
yes,
It'll be on there.
I love it. And
Taylor,
if we're-
plans?
Yeah, sorry, Taylar.
No, it's okay. For everybody that's
What are you
confused
doing?
about who Kylie or Kai is, that is the logo that we used for the longest of the sketches with us with wigs. That is Bonnie and Kai.
Bonnie and Kai.
And so Kai is coming back for the weekend.
I love when Kai comes out.
I'm with Arletta right now. Yeah. And then tomorrow evening or Friday, Nikki's coming into town because it's her birthday. So happy birthday, Nikki.
Happy birthday, Nikki.
And we're going to go out to eat in downtown Knoxville and for her birthday.
Is she bringing Odie?
Yeah, she's bringing Odie. I hope you're so here when she's...
I do
because
too.
you need to see him
so bad.
He's so big now. I'll never get over it. I mean, guys, you remember Odie, right? Like that little cocker that we had on here?
Spunkmeyer.
Yeah, Odie Spunk. Spunky boy.
There's something about a puppy cocker spaniel that is...
It's like changes your life cute. When you see one.
Yes.
I was like, you know what? I could handle a dog. Just like when I saw Ollie when he was little. I was like, Logan, come
for
on.
an hour, I can handle a dog. Arletta, I need help.
Me. He's here for 15 minutes. Ollie. Flips his cage.
She calls me bawling. I'm like, it is. Kill me. I'm like, okay, do not call Morgan. It is going to be okay.
I'm on my way.
I will be over. I came over. I'm like, he is just a puppy. We will clean it up. It's okay.
I'm like, I can't do it. I can't. And like now with Ollie being older, he's fine because he listens. And that's a lie. That was a straight up lie.
Small.
Yeah, but I'm talking about Ollie right now. Oh. But Odie is small.
Ollie, yeah.
And that mother is a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah.
He doesn't run out of energy. He is the cutest in the world. But the second he comes back, he'll finally chill out for a little bit. And the second it's on, y'all. It's on. And I'm like, bro, we've got to sleep a little. We've got to chill. I love him to death. But then I'm like, you know what? I think I would handle a puppy very well. I would never be able to handle a full-grown adult.
Insert clip of Taylar crying.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Literally with me.
I have videos of Ollie jumping through the pillows when he was little.
Oh my God,
and you can't see him for a second, and then he pops back up, and then he goes back down.
So cute.
He still is so cute.
He's so adorable.
I actually, Morgan, while we're here, one of my girlfriends, she has a golden, and she always talks about, she follows Ollie's page, and she's like, I am emotionally attached to this dog. And she's like, wait, I said something in passing about Ollie when he was a puppy, and she was like, you've met him? You met him when he was a puppy? I was like, yes.
Ollie's World.
Ollie's
Shut
World.
Up, that's so funny.
Seriously, Ollie has a fan.
We already knew that.
Ollie does have fans.
Yeah, no, people go hype for Ollie. Rightfully so.
Rightfully so.
Yeah,
he is the cutest.
He's a crack.
Gorgeous little man.
He is, yeah. All right. You guys ready to get very dark and gory?
Yeah, this is throwing it back.
You
thought last week was? No, we are, or the week before, whatever it was. We are throwing it back.
Yeah, it's intense.
So
we're going back to the original spooky logo that we thought we were going to be spooky ghouls before Bonnie and Kai.
I wish we could update the logo just for one episode. That'd be funny.
Oh my God, I can't go through that trauma.
Anyway.
I'll change it officially again, and we just changed it. I'm like, this one looks better anyways. All right, Morgan, hit him with it.
If you're driving, throw that shit on cruise control.
If you got a glass, pour that shit up.
And let's get creepy! Are you looking for the perfect gift for a loved one?
Well, Skylight Photo Frame is the gift for you.
You've already heard about the grandmothers and moms, but what about the dads?
Guys, this is the perfect gift for a dad's desk at work. They love it so much. It's basically Instagram, but personalized to them. And it's a great way for them to continually brag about all of your accomplishments.
Which all dads love to do. And they have to have pictures to show it.
Yes, and this is way easier than Instagram and way easier to set up. It's a great way to feel close to those you love, even when you're far away.
Anyone in the family can send photos to the frame. You can either email photos to it or upload them from the app anytime from anywhere. So it's a great way to keep family members in touch.
And it sets up so easy. I'm talking under 60 seconds. And even the least tech savvy can use it. It looks like a real photo frame that adds a beautiful touch to your home.
Skylight Frame has a gorgeous 10-inch touchscreen. You can swipe through photos with your finger and even tap to thank the person who sent the photo.
100% satisfaction is guaranteed. If you don't love your Skylight, they'll offer you a full refund.
Preload it with favorite photos that they didn't even know you had. You can tap the heart button and it will let the sender know you love the photo. This makes the frame interactive and fun to use.
And it's so simple.
Their customers love Skylight. One Facebook review said, quote, "This gives her a little glimpse of us every day. And then when we talk on the phone, she can talk to the boys about the pictures that we sent."
Aw. Now, as a special holiday offer, you can get $10 off of your purchase of a Skylight frame when you go to skylightframe.com and enter code CREEPS.
That's right. To get $10 off your purchase of a Skylight frame, just go to skylightframe.com and enter code CREEPS. That's SKYLIGHTFRAME.com and use code CREEPS.
Okay, Morgan, what do you have for us today?
Okay. Well, I hope you guys are ready for a creepy true crime story.
Yes.
I feel like half of us that are listening are like, yes, no more aliens and ghosts. And the other half are like, wait, where the fuck are the aliens and ghosts?
That's me.
But there's just so much to choose from when you have an section like I do. Like, I just have a plethora of things.
You can kind of do whatever you're feeling.
Right, exactly. Anyway, so this one is good. It is sad, and it's actually really just awful, but I feel like it's important to discuss because eventually I'm going to be covering some very controversial conspiracies, and this is kind of like a good foundation for all of that to base what we're going to be talking about in the future. But before I get started, I'm going to get serious here. My segment today has trigger warning after trigger warning, dealing with the exploitation of children, child abuse, child pornography, and children being engaged in rituals. So feel free to jump ahead about 30 minutes, and I will totally understand.
You don't want to come to my part.
Listen and stay woke.
Yeah.
So today I will be covering the Finders cult, or how the media portrays it, the Finders movement.
Okay.
Marion David Petty was born on December 12, 1920. At the age of 15, Marion wanted to enlist with the Army. But at that time, the legal enlistment age was 16 years old. So in order to leave home and join, Marion needed a way to convince his parents to lie about his birthday to the recruiters. His parents didn't see the need to lie when he needed just to wait like one more year.
Right.
Like, just why are we going to lie and risk getting in all this trouble when you can wait like literally 12 months?
Right.
So they communicated that with Marion and ultimately saying like, we're not going to do it. Sorry, you're just going to have to wait. But as future cult leaders do, Marion fixed this issue with a little bit of subtle intimidation. And I say subtle lightly. Shortly after the disagreement with his parents, he came across an article in the paper about a teenage boy who had murdered his parents after an argument.
Oh, God.
What?
He set it aside, and later that evening, he left it on the kitchen table for his parents to see in the morning. Basically saying, disagree with me, and you're fucking dead. He was pretty twisted.
Hands.
There were no more conversations after that. The smallest bit of intimidation from leaving a news article on the table worked, which just shows his character. Like, he was a scary child.
So his parents were like, okay, he's not fucking around.
Right, like, we're gonna lie.
If I saw that shit from my kids, I'm like, do you know who the fuck you're talking to?
Right, exactly.
To the
Me too.
basement.
But like, that just shows you like how this kid was.
Yeah, like
at
he must have
15.
been, they must have been scared of him.
Yeah. Marion joined the U.S. Army at age 15 and was sent to Panama as a lifeguard for the United States Army. For 3 years, he sat out by the base pool and read book after book. This is what Marion would be doing for the rest of his life, learning as much and working as little as possible. Marion Petty then transferred to the Air Force in 1947. He was enlisted for 8 years, retired in 1955, took his pension, and never worked again. He was retired at 35 years old, meaning he had a lot of life left to brainwash and create an entire culty commune.
Great.
By the late 1960s, Marion Petty, with his wife and 2 sons, were living in the Washington, D.C. area. It was some point around this time that Marion Petty began assembling the community that became known as the Finders. Marion bought an extensive wooded property out in Madison County, Virginia. Sorry, I'm out of breath. I'm like shaking. Like, Arletta, are you making me nervous? I don't know.
Sorry.
And Marion began recruiting well-educated people that could discuss the latest in philosophy, psychology, and human development, which is very interesting because you see people that join cults as like, like they feel lost in life.
Yeah.
And like these were like very highly educated people, PhDs, like.
Yeah.
They went to him.
That just kind of speaks to probably the way that he could talk to somebody too.
Right.
Marion believed that your common day person was fucked. Those are his words. That Western civilization was declining, and he advocated for a certain style of living that would prepare his followers for a new consciousness. Basically, his goal was to liberate humanity from the shackles of progress. I don't even know what that means.
What in the... That sounds like a Disney ride.
But that was like his slogan.
Okay.
Okay?
The carousel of progress.
And the only way to do this was something called child rearing.
Nope.
He focused on the idea that in order to heal the planet and the people here, he needed to start from the womb.
Oh, great.
He needed to raise healthy, sustainable children. He gained followers by speaking on, quote, the New Age way of living and Eastern mysticism. But his community wasn't publicized. This was recruiting, and it was kept very underground. As a matter of fact, they were practically invisible. Nobody could ever pinpoint them down.
Oh.
The finders practiced flexibility. You couldn't track them. You couldn't pick up and go, or they could pick up and go at what seemed like the snap of a finger. This was a time where the human potential movement was booming. This was the 70s. This was the decade of the cults. A little bit about the finders. When spotted, the finders members always stood out. The men were always dressed to the T and in a dark suit. Like they were like dressed nicely, like an all black suit. Like were they men in black? I don't know.
Right.
The women were hardly seen and the children were always dirty.
Typical.
Those within the finders or the followers of the cult referred to Marion as a couple different names.
Oh, God.
The stroller, the student, the finder, and the game caller. The game caller was the most popular because the followers trained and played games that Marion would make up.
Oh, God.
The cult was a 24-hour, 365 days a year training group for games. And the games were always changing. And with each one, you were just a little step closer to breaking those shackles that the world had holding you back. So we'll hear a little bit more about the games in a bit. But altogether, there were about 40 followers in the Finders cult. The group strongly believed that women, never men, would initiate sexual relationships. We good?
I was going to grab my water.
Oh, yeah, you can drink. You're good.
Oh, yeah, you're good. I thought someone was calling you.
Guys, people keep calling us today,
So he
by the way.
believed that women, never men, would initiate in sexual relationships and that all children should be raised strong and tough.
Wait, I'm sorry. Can you say that one more time?
Thank you for asking. I was just about to do that.
He believed that women should initiate all sexual relationships. So no men could go to a woman and say, hey, let's
bang.
Let's fuck.
Yeah.
Well, it didn't last
But
long,
only the women could do that. Wow, I've never heard that in a...
Yeah, that's
Right.
interesting.
But then he made a new purpose.
Oh, great.
Which would be to create a new generation of children from his cult and raise these kids in an experimental way. Instead of the biological parents raising them, the group would raise them as a whole, and they would be independent.
Okay, so the kids that were already in the cult, were these kids that had already been born into the world and came to the cult with the parent?
A lot of people left their jobs, they left their husbands.
And they brought their kid with them.
And they brought their kid with them.
Wow.
But there wasn't many kids.
Okay.
It wasn't until he started saying, we need to have children of
So
our
we
own.
need to procreate.
Right, we need to procreate. And I find this comical because this man literally believed that, you know, all women should initiate all these relationships. Like, this was his rule. He created that. But then he was like, well, actually, like, you need to have sex with him and you need to have sex with her. Like, it's a little bit of genetics going on here. And also, let's raise these kids as an experiment.
Right.
So, like, really, do you think, like, because I was kind of behind the whole woman should be the only ones to be able to engage, but whatever. In 1980, they began to have their own finders' children. And the children were neglected and ignored. Nobody wanted the job to care for them. Therefore, nobody did. The children were always dirty and just covered in sores all over their body.
Oh, God.
They had absolutely no social skills and borderline no speaking capabilities.
Oh, my God, because no one's teaching them anything.
Right. It was so bad that when Finders members would take them to a nearby playground, the two groups, like Finders kids and non-Finders kids, would never, like, couldn't mix whatsoever because they could hardly communicate with these other kids.
Oh, my God.
That's so sad.
The game caller, aka cult leader Marion Petty, would create games where the children would be in charge. And what I mean by that is that children as young as 2 years old would be left in charge, unsupervised, and left to, quote, think and fend for themselves to help expedite the developmental process. 2 years old. An example of this is the Paradise Game.
Oh, God.
The Paradise Game was a high field experiment set up for 3 and 4 year old Max and Mary. According to the memoir The Game Caller, the scene is set just like this. It was a high field, former cow pasture, right outside the Shenandoah
Valley.
Yeah, Shenandoah National Park. Yeah, Valley. There were two streams that run down the rolling hills. The Game Caller set aside 2 acres of this area for the experiment. The adults then created and built walls out of tree limbs and brush. And this wall was low enough for adults to one step over it. Like, it was easy for adults to get over it, but to a toddler, these walls were so high.
I mean, that's a wall.
Right. It's a
Kids
wall.
Toddlers can't even walk over like a piece of like laundry in the floor without tripping.
So for toddlers, they're not able to get out of it, but adults can get in and out. Inside this wall encampment was a small stream with fresh drinking water, and they placed bedding on the ground for children and made sure there was enough shade. This area was called Paradise. Once the encampment was built, the children were lowered inside the walls. For the next week, the adults stayed away to let 3- and 4-year-old Max and Mary to fend for themselves. They said they were supervised around the clock, but just from a distance. And when the kids were either sleeping or not paying attention, they said that the adults would then drop off some food at the camp. 3 years old, in the fucking woods by themselves for a week.
What? Are you kidding me?
Yeah. It's really fucked up. Anyway, according to Marianne, it was designed to be a surreal experience in that it was developmentally appropriate for toddlers.
Okay.
It allowed them to be who they were at that moment in time without adults imposing an ordered worldview on them.
Interesting.
Yeah. One of the Game Callers saying was, and I quote, "Never say anything rational to a child. They'll become rational soon enough, but let them evolve the thinking apparatus for themselves." Which is true, but not for 3-year-olds. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And
well, actually, no, I don't think that's true. I think you should always be rational with a child. Absolutely. Don't you?
Yeah, but what I was going to say is it's so indicative of the way a child is raised based on how well it's raised by its parents.
Yeah.
Right. This isn't even the best parents in the world. They're teaching rationale. They're teaching how to take care of yourself.
And it's not like we just evolve into adults just by existing.
Right,
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
You can literally, you grow, you become an adult,
You
but
grow.
you don't have developmental skills. You can't speak. You don't know how to clean
Like, you don't
yourself.
just get thrown in the woods.
Right, and it's just like kids that grow up with like older siblings that like they're the youngest.
They're still taught.
They're taught, but they are around people who are talking like adults.
Yes.
So they have better communication
Yes.
skills
Yeah.
at a younger age.
Yeah.
It's so fucked up.
I feel like this is just so wrong in so many ways.
Yeah, and the finders considered their children to be free range, like fucking chickens.
Oh,
They called them that they were free range.
holistic free range children.
With no supervision or very minimal supervision. In February of 1987, Tallahassee police received a call about 2 well-dressed men who were supervising 6 bug-bitten and unkept children in a park.
Oh my God.
When Tallahassee police intercepted the men after pulling them over in a van, they could not provide sufficient information as to their legal custody of the children, or when asked about their identity and the children's identity, they were uncooperative. So the Tallahassee Police Department took custody of the children and arrested the 2 men with child endangerment, who soon revealed their identities as 28-year-old Douglas Ammerman and 27-year-old James Michael Holwell. The children were between the ages of 2 and 11. The police were unable to locate their mothers and therefore placed the children into state custody. Oh, I can't talk. Custody. Sorry, guys. Relatively quickly, DC police, or the Metropolitan PD, were contacted to try to establish the identities of the children. And they got this idea because the kids kept saying to the police that we live in the district. We live in the district. Who's your father? The Game Caller.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's a whole other level.
So the police department are like the district of what? Like the District of Columbia? So they contact the police. Once they get the identity of these 2 guys, they're like, okay, well, they reside in DC. So this has got to be what the kids are talking about.
Right.
So they contact the Metropolitan PD, and it would later be revealed in court that the children's names, only first names, are Honeybee, John, Franklin, BB, Max, and Mary. The children showed signs of sexual abuse and were described by Tallahassee Police Department as dirty, unkept, hungry, disturbed, and agitated. And evidence suggested that the 6 children had been living in the van for quite some time.
Oh my God.
Once the connection between the Tallahassee Police Department and the Metropolitan Police Department was made, This is when the Metro PD are like, so here's the thing. Douglas and James are members of a local cult called the Finders.
Yeah.
And this is a group that has been on our radar a lot lately.
Okay,
As
so
a matter
they
of
knew.
fact, they knew. As a matter of fact, we've been trying to investigate them for about the last 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. The Finders were on MPD radar after they received an anonymous police tip that there was this cult called the Finders. They were an underground cult that conducted brainwashing techniques at a warehouse in a duplex at 391820 West Street. This same source told police that he was being recruited by the Finders with promises of financial reward and sexual gratification, and was invited to explore Satanism with them.
Oh, God.
A joint investigation between Tallahassee PD and Metropolitan PD took off. This led to the identification and interviews of the mothers of the 6 children, 2 of the fathers, and several other prominent members of the Finders group.
So they found the mothers.
Yeah. They were all in the cult.
Wow.
Yeah. So the Metropolitan Police Department then executed search warrants prepared by the United States Attorney's Office, District of Columbia, on 2 properties owned by the Finders. So they raided the group's Gallover Park duplex, as well as a warehouse outside of northeastern DC, which is exactly what that tip a couple years ago had said to them.
Right.
Here they found a substantial amount of computer equipment and documents that contain instructions for obtaining children for unspecified purposes.
Oh, gosh.
These instructions allegedly included the impregnation of female members, purchasing children, trading children, and kidnapping them. They seized items that showed pictures of children engaged in what seemed to be cult rituals, trigger warning photos including children in bloodletting ceremonies with animals, as well as photographs of children in chains.
Oh, my God.
There were also wallet-sized pictures of naked children. So sick.
The fuck is
So
wrong with
fucking
y'all?
sick.
Yeah. They found a clearing behind one of the Finders' properties that had several round stones gathered in a circle, as well as evidence that people had been gathered there. And this is like
a ritual.
This
place.
is like a what's the word I'm looking for?
Altar? Ritualistic.
Yeah, very like signs of some type of ritual going on. 6 weeks later, after an investigation from Florida to DC, hard evidence that shit was clearly going on, that this shit was illegal, the men were released from police custody, and the state dropped all charges against the men.
What?
Because the CIA came in and said that this was an internal matter.
No, my shit.
But not before the feds picked up the case.
Don't even tell me that.
Right. Federal agents concluded that there was no evidence of criminal activity and dropped the decade-long case that Metropolitan Police Department had against the Finders cult. It hit headlines, took the world by storm, and discussed.
I have chills.
I have forehead chills.
But eventually, as all breaking news does, it became forgotten about.
Great.
And the Finders, well, they kept finding. Until a man from Stuart, Florida, came out with some serious allegations.
That's where Logan's from.
I know. Skip Clements, a resident, had been researching the Finders for years, and he came forward with allegations that made the public gasp and question their own government. Skip Clements claimed that the reason the Finders were in Tallahassee with those children was because they were in the process of trafficking them from DC to Mexico. He then claims that the United States Customs Service called off the investigation at the orders of the CIA. No. He then says the CIA was using this commune, the Finders, as a front to train their own agents with their own political agenda.
Oh my fuck.
He had so much evidence that he convinced 2 members of Congress to look into it, leading to a Justice Department investigation into the CIA and United States Customs Services. Oh. Guys, my source here for this, let me tell you, is the fucking FBI vault. This is on the FBI vault. I went through literally hundreds of pages last night.
I'm shook. Like, I wish you could see Taylar and I because we're being silent because our mouths are open.
Go to YouTube.
Oh my God.
This is...
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So now there's an internal investigation going on at the CIA and the U.S. Customs Service. Eventually, irrefutable evidence was gathered together that the Finders are involved in a well-organized child abuse scheme, and that the State Department, in conjunction with the Counterintelligence Agency, conspired to cover up the entire thing. They found that both the State Department and the CIA were at minimum complicit and maximum direct involvement to cover up the investigation and charges. To this day, not a single person has been convicted of a crime in relation to the Finders cult. But before I get into conspiracies, let's jump 10 years later and talk about a suburb of DC.
I'm like
called
angry.
Culpeper.
I'm angry.
I was pissed.
I'm like
last
pissed.
night.
Like I'm fuming right now.
I was pissed last night.
I'm in shock.
I'm like my voice is like
can't wait to
shaking.
hear
You
your
guys are probably like,
conspiracies.
Morgan's never acted like this. Like this like had me to my core because it was real.
Oh, this is disgusting.
It's not a conspiracy.
Yeah.
And it is hidden and the CIA is coming for me. Anyway, Culpeper, Virginia began to flourish around the 1980s as more people began to move closer to the nation's capital, Washington, D.C.
Right.
Before then, it was a relatively small town, but now it's considered a big suburb of Washington, D.C. Population continues to grow as more and more people find work in the city. Today, with DC traffic, it's about an hour commute to get in and out of DC if you're living in Culpeper. And it's voted one of America's best small towns. And it's almost picture perfect. Almost. In the late 1990s, mysterious messages began to pop up around the town of Culpeper, specifically around the old Marquee Cinema. Cryptic messages would come and go on the side of the theater in big blue block letters, like spray paint.
Okay.
Messages like, School for Actors, AKTERS, Spycraft, a great game, free money, and ataraxia. The messages would stay and be replaced in as short as a day or as long as a month. Nobody ever saw them go up. Nobody ever saw them taken down.
No one.
Nobody. The messages in a town where everyone once knew everyone became the T, and Culpeper eventually realized that they had a cult within its midst. After tons of head scratching and rumors, it became obvious that the messages were being sent by the Finders. They were back. The more they thought about the strangeness going on, the more it made sense. Townspeople began to pick up on strange middle-aged men, always in dark suits, just wandering the streets. They would follow people home. They would take extensive notes and pictures of them.
Ew.
They would also show up to local council meetings, but never say a word, just observe. They would also haunt the courthouse, like not haunt like that, but like investigating land deeds, like nonstop, just trying to figure out who owns what.
Oh my God.
Townspeople became frightened, especially those remembering the Finders in the headlines just 10 years prior.
Yeah.
But local police informed them that whatever they are up to, it is not illegal. The Finders were back, and there was nothing anybody could do about it. And this is actually where the game caller got his name, the Stroller, because they said there wasn't a street that
Somebody was walking down.
Marion Petty wouldn't walk 100 times and just like observe.
Did
That's where he
people
got the
know
stroller.
it was
Like eventually, yeah.
him?
But like this all happened in the 90s, and then within like 2 years, they're like, okay, the Finders are there, and then they kind of just like came out a little more, and like Marion's way older now at this point, and he was
Right.
just like kind of over it.
Oh my God.
In October of 2019, the FBI unlocked its vault that released hundreds of documents related to the Finders, where it was confirmed that the CIA and the State Department conspired to cover up the investigation and charges in relation to the Finders, and that the CIA stepped in to cover up the criminal activity of the Finders in the initial 1987 investigation, with the agency implicitly claiming association with the cult. I can't even breathe. With the cult by rendering the issue an internal matter. You guys, this is literally linking the CIA with organized child fucking trafficking.
Oh my God.
Child abuse.
Why?
And allegations of ritual abuse and mind control. Like, that is linking the CIA with all of that. So, before I go, I'm going to leave you guys with some food for thought after blowing your damn minds. The main conspiracy is this, that the CIA uses the Finders as a child resource pool to set up and blackmail like high-profile people, including politicians, foreign and domestic. And the Finders were their way to do that.
And to do
And they believe that the
studies.
Finders cult is the CIA. Like, those men in those dark suits are
listen,
the CIA.
That's what I was about to ask you. You know, we said he retired at, 35 from the military? No fucking shot.
to the CIA.
No fucking shot. He was recruited by the CIA because they knew how, like,
And they were going to
intelligent
cover
he
it up as a
actually was.
religious cult. a
In no
satanic
fucking way
cult.
he was actually a lifeguard sitting there.
Right.
He was working on something in the
'cause
intelligence.
you keep saying research. I'm thinking, okay, are there cameras in the trees? Are they watching these children? Because if the children weren't being...
It's Hunger Games.
Yeah, but it's...
Right.
What? So are we... Okay,
Right,
are
like
we
they're-
saying, like...
So his morals, so like it was, yes, it was an experiment to him, but like his whole
no,
entire...
but was he recruited by the CIA to run an experiment to see if children could actually sustain
Sustain on their own.
on their own?
Yeah.
But
was he
sex trafficking is a whole other level to that.
Yeah, I don't know.
And where does the satanic come in? Like rituals
where
come
is
into
this?
it?
Yeah, right.
Like you found, you're telling me you find photographs on these communes property of children
Child
in
pornography.
Child pornography. One, that's already sending you to jail right there. Blood fucking ceremonies with children in chains, and you're telling me nobody ever has been charged in that fucking cult? Nobody.
No, this is Epstein.
Not one person.
This is Epstein.
This is some Epstein shit.
This is some Epstein shit.
There's so much on Reddit that pulls Epstein, all of this together.
No, that's why they were in Florida.
And that's what that big conspiracy is that the CIA uses this as a child pool to blackmail politicians that they don't want.
Oh my fucking God.
That's crazy.
This is crazy.
What's so disturbing, of course, everything that we just heard. No one ever got charged with it.
Yeah.
When it was, I understand, like, okay, people find out, FBI releases documents, sure.
Right.
You had these people in your custody.
And you let them go.
You let them go.
No, yeah, they were definitely, someone flashed a badge.
So the children just left.
Yeah. I think
With them,
I
or
read,
did they stay in the system,
actually,
or what happened to the kids?
Mary, I don't believe that's their names. They're all aliases, I think. But Mary did do an interview with somebody.
Okay.
And she saw nothing wrong with how they were raised. She said
they're brainwashed.
She said we were like, we got to do whatever we wanted. We never had to like ask permission. Like we were just on our own. Like,
guys,
yeah,
that is not good raising.
Like, yeah, it sucks sometimes, but like it was fine. Like you guys, 6 of you lived in a car, and you know those 2 men went in a hotel room. So, you know their asses went to some nice ass resort.
But the reason why they had to leave the kids in the cars because they can't be seen walking around with kids like that.
So are you telling me that this is still out there?
I mean,
there's
nothing that says it's not.
What?
No, this has to be. This is feeding into Epstein, used for blackmail, and then B, it's how we do test, get research done for childhood development, and they're doing like underground, giving up to these dirty doctors because you said he was working with like doctors and psychiatrists.
I mean, this is smart people and
like people with PhDs. They're joining a cult.
And they're
That's
getting
not
tons
what
of money
the cults
because
in
of
the
their
70s were
research.
like.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's all this, it being a cult is a giant cover up.
Okay,
for whatever.
so it's a front.
Yeah, they definitely said satanic shit, so people would write them off as crazy and as cult, and they would be protected by the religious situation.
How couldn't look into it.
Yeah, exactly. How fucked up is it that this exists? Like probably to this day, you know, don't quote me on that. That's alleged, but this
Epstein
cult existed. It did for 30 years, 40
Regardless,
years.
it was real.
And I mean, Taylar, you're a huge true crime person. You know everything about every cult. Arletta, you're into all the same stuff.
Yeah.
You guys have never heard of that.
Never heard of it.
Because it's literally just shut down by the media.
Because it's hidden.
It's hidden.
It is hidden. How'd you find this? How'd you even come across
How did I
this?
find this?
Yeah,
I found
Morgan,
this.
How the hell did you find this?
The Theories of the Third Kind podcast.
Oh, love
covered
them.
it. I love them.
Guys, if you're listening, give us a call.
Yeah, if you're listening, give us a call. They covered it, but they did it so in like, I think before the Vault came out.
Oh.
But yeah.
So when the Vault came out, you had a lot more.
Yeah.
A lot more.
Or if they did, I actually didn't listen to their episode. I was just.
Yeah, well,
scrolling through. Yeah, just scrolling through. And I was like, what is that? And then I started looking on TikTok. There's a couple videos about it on TikTok. So, yeah.
What's crazier to me is all of these kids are not growing up and leaving either.
Right.
It's not like you're hearing about people breaking out from the Finders cult.
And any cult that you look up online, there's a Wikipedia page on it.
Yeah.
Not for the Finders cult. Any cult you look up online shows you everything about their beliefs, their day-to-days, what they did, how they joined, who joined, like what happened. Not this cult. Every single article was about 2 men in Tallahassee arrested with 6 children.
We're going to create that Wikipedia page and see what happens.
Oh.
Yeah.
Get shut down.
Yeah, Morgan already said CIA is coming for her.
CIA has been on my ass since 2 days ago about
They've
this.
been on my shit with Paul LaRue, so.
Yeah, so anyway, don't come after me, but that, you guys, is the Finders cult.
I'm sick. I'm
that's
sick.
pretty sick.
Yeah.
All right, who wants to throw up even more? I got an awful one for you.
All right, let's hear it.
Yeah, let's go. All right, everybody. Let's get into this one.
Let's do it. What do you have for us?
So I am going to be covering serial killer Ed Gein today. also known as the Butcher of Plainfield, the inspiration behind characters such as Norman Bates in Psycho or Bates Motel, Leatherface in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
I don't like any
Buffalo
of these.
Bill in The Silence of the Lambs, and Dr. Oliver Thredson from the American Horror Story Asylum.
Oh my gosh.
No.
Arletta's like, I'm out. Like, this is too much.
I don't want to know why.
Last time we talked about witches and black cats.
Yeah.
And now we're going
Now here we go.
Going into a leather.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
God.
needless to say, trigger warning throughout this entire case for necrophilia, grave robbing, mutilation of bodies and corpses, extreme gore, childhood abuse, trauma, religious trauma, and alcoholism. Let's get into it. So,
my gosh.
Edward Theodore Gein was born on August 27th, 1906 in La Crosse County, Wisconsin. He was born to George Philip Gein and Augusta Wilhelmine, whatever that's her middle name. It doesn't really matter. W. Gein. Ed was their youngest son and their last child, with Ed's older brother, who was 5 years older, and his name was Henry George Gein. So Ed's father, George, was an alcoholic who worked various jobs such as a carpenter, a leather maker or tanner, insurance salesman, and also as the owner of a grocery store, which he later sold. So George could not hold on to a job for long because of his alcoholism and how bad it was. And Augusta hated her husband, like not only for his alcoholism, but just hated his ass. And she made the decision because of this to move the entire family to live on a 155-acre farm in isolation near the town of Plainfield, Wisconsin.
Yeah, that sounds like the right decision.
Right.
Sounds
Great.
like they're finders.
I know, right?
Seriously.
So all the members of the family would work on the farm, including Ed and Henry, while attending a local small school in the small town. Ed and Henry were... They had a hard time in school, basically, in terms of making friends. And it was obvious that they were extremely isolated from society and the public. According to A&E documentary that they covered on Ed Gein, he was extremely shy with like strange mannerisms, always cracking odd jokes. Despite this, he did really well in school, specifically reading. At times, Ed would just burst out in uncontrollable laughter in the middle of a lesson or like when everybody else is quiet. But that wasn't the weirdest part. It was that they weren't allowed to make friends. It wasn't that they couldn't make friends. It was that they were not allowed to. In fact, they would be punished if they made friends.
By their dad.
By their mom.
By their mom.
Oh, so the mom's crazy.
Yes. Augusta was extremely religious and hated everyone, including her husband, other than her sons. She would not allow outsiders near their property or anybody around her children, fearing that they would negatively influence them.
Control.
Augusta believed that everyone especially women, were evil. Women were naturally promiscuous and instruments of the devil. But she reassured her sons that she was not. She was the only pure woman in the world.
Girl.
Yeah, literally. She was the only pure woman in the world.
Oh, of course.
Because she had given her soul and life fully to God.
Okay,
Augusta hated her husband. I've said it a million times. I don't think you guys are grasping it. Like I say I hate my husband. No, she hated
I mean, just
him.
don't be with him then.
I don't hate my husband, but you know what I mean.
What?
You know, I'm always like, I hate him.
Yeah, no, you're meaning like true
hatred. Like hating them.
Like we hate the finders.
Yeah,
hate the
we
founders.
now
Finders.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
But she refused to leave him, even though she hated him, because of her religious beliefs.
Okay.
I was like, okay.
Greater than that.
I don't think God is okay with you hating your husband either, so.
Right.
You're not supposed to hate. Thou shalt not hate, right?
Thou shalt not hate.
She did not teach the love of God, though. She preached hellfire.
This woman makes no sense to
And
me.
a just God, mainly reading out the Old Testament and the book of Revelations to instill the fear of God into her sons.
I was just going to say, fear of God.
Through her as a vessel of God.
Sorry, she taught hellfire.
Yeah.
I'm also getting like weird Oedipus complex, like mother in love with her sons vibe.
Yeah, me too. So after school, Ed and Henry continued to work out on the family's farm and working an assortment of jobs to provide for the family's living expenses due to their father's worsening alcoholism and deteriorating health. On April 1st, 1940, Ed's father, George, died at 66 of heart failure as a result of his alcoholism, and Ed and Henry were in their late 30s at this time. Ed and Henry were considered to be very reliable and honest men by their community that loved and trusted the both of them, as they both worked as handyman. But Henry began separating himself from his brother and mother after his father's death, making friends, hanging out at bars, and meeting women.
Oh, no.
He often made fun of his brother to others, calling Ed weird, saying that he was obsessed with their mother. Ed overheard Henry one day, and he was so upset about what his brother had said about him that he was like crying and like in such shock because he could not believe how hateful his brother was becoming, which was only worsening Ed's mindset because he's like, oh, you've been influenced by these people. You're crazy. Mom always said this.
Oh, it like reaffirms what mom's been telling him.
So Henry got into a very serious relationship with a woman in town, and she had been divorced and had 2 kids and was a woman, which Augusta hated, so she did not approve. And Ed sided with his mother.
Of course.
Causing even more of a divide between Ed and Henry. Ed was kind, nurturing, and protective of his mother, which is why everyone in the community could overlook his odd social interactions and humor, knowing that he had just been isolated his entire childhood and did not have correct social... You know what I mean? Like
skills.
Social, yes. Skills. Augusta babysat children often, and from time to time when her children were younger, Ed always enjoyed being with the children as he was able to better relate with kids. On May 16th, 1944, Henry and Ed were working together on their farm, burning away marsh vegetation when the fire got out of control. Local firefighters noticed the smoke and headed over to the family's land to extinguish the fire before leaving just before sunset. A little after dark, Ed called the fire department back and asked them if Henry was with them. And they said no. And he goes, well, he's missing. I can't find him anywhere. So they returned to the property and they searched with lanterns when they find Henry dead, face down in a pool of mud.
What?
Oh, no.
Were y'all expecting me to say pool of blood? Nope, it was mud, bitch.
Pool of mud.
So it appeared that he had been dead for hours at this point, but there were no burns on his body or any indication that this was related to the fire at all. There were bruises found on his head as if he had been hit with something. Despite this, no autopsy was ever performed, and they assumed that it had been a result of heart failure or asphyxiation, according to biographer Harold Schechter. It's in my sources if you want to look.
Harold.
Yeah, Harold S. So they also said that there was no foul play involved, so they never investigated it. Not long after Henry's death, Augusta had a stroke that left her paralyzed. Ed became a full-time caretaker of his mother and her crazy orders. He would babysit children for her, which he loved because the children loved him. Now people believe that Ed was trying to, now looking back, it was what I meant to write, people believe that Ed was just trying to reclaim his childhood or heal his inner child from the childhood trauma he faced because of his mother. And this was therapeutic being with children for him. I feel like I've said children like 900 times. Children. So in late 1945, Augusta and Ed had gone to pick up straw from their neighbor, which is where they always picked up their straw for their farm at. And she was like getting to go on an outing, so this was like fun. And they've known this person forever. So they pull up and they find out that this man was living with a woman out of wedlock. So the woman came outside.
Hellfire.
And Augusta becomes so furious. She's screaming like, keep the devil away from me. Like going crazy. God. And she was screaming for this woman to stay away from her. So the woman's like going back in the house. And after this, she had another stroke that left her hospitalized. And she later passed because of this on December 29th, 1945 at the age of 67.
Wow.
Ed was now alone, isolated. What'd you say?
Bye, Augusta.
Yeah, right. Bye, girl. Ed was now
Taylar,
alone.
bye, girl.
Yeah, bye, girl. I hope it was worth it.
See you later, sweetie.
So Ed was now alone, isolated, scared, upset, and missing his mother desperately. Augusta was the only friend that he had, which is exactly how she wanted it.
That's exactly
That's what she planned her entire life, right?
Left him alone now.
Right. And Henry used to be his other friend, but he's gone too. Ed began going mad, and no one knew this because of how isolated their farmhouse was. For years, no one was allowed to visit, and no one ever did. Ed had boarded up most of the rooms in the home to make the house smaller and more comfortable for him. He had moved his bedroom into like a sitting room or like a breakfast nook in the kitchen, and his mother's room was now a shrine to her that was kept in perfectly clean condition. But the kitchen and Ed's room were not. Ed began hoarding, collecting trash, covering the home in filth, letting it fall to pieces. It was covered in books, magazines, and newspapers that he read multiple a day. Reading was his favorite hobby and his best subject in school. He mainly read books of adventures, pulp fiction, and detective novels that were gory. Ed continued working as a handyman, receiving a monthly check from the government for owning and operating a farm while still babysitting for some of the families in town. He later sold an 80-acre lot that Henry had owned, giving him enough money to live off and have in savings. Children that stayed with Ed told their parents about the faces and heads on the walls and furniture of Ed's home.
What? Oh my God.
He would say they were collectibles from the Philippines.
What?
No one ever thought much of this, as it was just Ed and he was harmless.
They were real fucking people. I already know where this is going.
But that all changed on November 16th, 1957. Bernice Warden, a Plainfield hardware store owner, opened up her shop as she did every single morning in the early hours. She had just a few customers that came in and out like regulars. But after 9 a.m., there was no sign of 58-year-old Bernice. People figured that there was an emergency or she had to leave in a rush and forgot to lock the doors. Then again, it was hunting season, so she was pretty slow around this time. Her son, Deputy Sheriff Frank Warden, had arrived at the store at around 5 p.m. as he did every evening to see his mother.
Wrong person.
Right. But there was no sign of her when he entered. He began looking around the store, which is when he found the cash register that was open, with blood stains on the floor and counter. Oh, no. The only thing left behind was a sales slip for a gallon of antifreeze that Bernice had handwritten at around 9 a.m. that morning. Well, Frank had shut down the shop with her the day before. And while he was there, Ed Gein had stopped by, which is common because he is a farmer and a handyman. Before leaving, he told Bernice that he'd be back early the next morning to pick up a gallon of antifreeze.
Oh.
Frank reported this to his sheriff's department, and the investigation began. Officers were searching for Ed and Bernice. A deputy from, I cannot say this, Washera? W-A-U-S-H-A-R-A?
Washera? I don't know.
Whatever. County Sheriff's Department was sent to the Gean's farm to look for him, but there seemed to be no sign of Ed. The doors to the house were locked and the blinds were shut, and he couldn't see much, so the deputy made his way back to the barn shed that had what looked to be a trail of blood leading through the front doors. So I know this case has been pretty tame up until this point, but if you forgot about my trigger warnings and gore warnings, this is your chance to fucking run.
Oh no, okay, this is my chance. Bye, guys.
Yeah, right. This is the one where it gets bad.
This is my chance to tune in.
Here we go. Hanging upside down from a beam in the center of the barn was a decapitated human body. The victim's legs were spread apart by a crossbar at the ankles and ropes around the wrist, with the torso dressed out like a deer, hanging to dry.
That is fucked up.
The deputy was uncontrollably vomiting, scared for his life, looking at a scene so inhumane that it seemed fake. Once the deputy composed himself, he went closer, trying to get an ID on whose body this belonged to, when he came across a bag. Inside the bag was the decapitated head of 50-year-old Bernice, with nails in each ear as if it had been hung up as a trophy. The deputy was frantic, vomiting his entire way back to his car to call for backup and alerting the department to keep Frank the fuck away from this scene. The other deputies were sent to find Ed Gein, as he was not at the property, and they found him in a grocery store buying ingredients for his dinner.
No.
He was immediately arrested. Around the same time, backup had arrived at the home really quickly and were preparing themselves to search the home, property, and other structures on the Gein land. But nothing could have prepared them for what they were about to find. And this is the list. Bernice Warden's heart in a plastic bag marinating beside the stove, which looked to be what he was preparing for dinner. Masks made from the skin of female heads. A corset made from a female torso, which had been skinned from shoulder to waist. Oh, no. Leggings made from human leg skin. A belt made from women's nipples. 9 vulvas, like the best part about being a woman, in a shoebox. With a young girl's dress nearby that had 2 vulvas of 2 young females sewed on it. The 2 found were judged, that were like on the dress, were judged to be belonging to 2 15-year-olds.
Oh my God.
4 noses, another victim's face used as a mask in a paper bag, as well as this same victim's skull in a box. A trash can made of human skin with matching chair cushions throughout the entire home. Human skulls on each of Ed's bedposts.
No.
Female skulls with the tops sawed off, which he used as bowls. Whole human bones and fragments. Fingernails from females that he would glue onto his. A pair of lips on a window shade drawstring. And a lampshade made from the skin of human faces.
What the fuck did you just say?
This was absolutely shocking to the community. Parents who had trusted Ed with their children were in horror. And the faces that their kids were talking about, they were real fucking humans.
No fucking way.
People became violently ill.
Why weren't these parents going to drop their kids off inside?
I don't fucking know.
I mean, I guess it's the 50s, 40s, whatever.
People became violently ill as the news spread around because Ed sold meat from his farm or his victims.
Shut the fuck up, Taylar.
I wish I was fucking joking.
No.
This was enough skin to cover the bodies of 20 humans.
Oh my God.
Yet officers could only confirm the remains of Bernice Warden. But they did have the face and the skull of another victim that was intact. It turned out to be the remains of Mary Hogan. Mary Hogan was a bar owner in the Bancroft area and had gone missing on December 8th, 1954, 3 years before her remains were found in Ed Gein's home. Wow. That night, he had shot Mary before loading her body into the back of his car and took her back home to his house. Ed was reluctant to talk with officers, but they weren't fucking having it. They took Ed to the morgue, forcing him to stare at Bernice's body. He broke down, sobbing and telling them everything.
Please.
Ed told investigators that after his mother's death, he missed her so much and felt so alone. He would visit her grave at the cemetery every single night. Starting in 1947 until 1952, he began going to 3 different graveyards at night. He admitted to taking 40 trips to these graveyards, but each time he was in a daze-like state. On 31 of those visits that he had come to, left the graveyard and returned home. But on the other 9, he would exhume recently buried bodies of middle-aged women who resembled his mother, take their bodies home, tan their skin like his father had done in leatherworking, and use them for his projects. On most occasions, he would take what he needed from the bodies or wanted, and then he would return them to their graves, or at least their jewelry. Ed took investigators to all these graves to prove this, and it was true. Ed used these bodies to create his woman suit. He began creating this after the death of his mother so that he could become his mother, to literally crawl in her skin. That is the quote. That is a direct quote.
He was trying to create his mother.
Yeah.
That's a direct quote.
That's a direct quote. To literally crawl into her skin.
That's sick.
Even more so, on full moons, Ed told officers that he would put on his skin suit and mask, go out to his land and dance, walk around to feel the skin from the suit on his body. He would never admit to having sex with these bodies that he exhumed, but, however, there is evidence to prove he had.
No.
Ed Gein Ed Gein's original confession was ruled inadmissible because that W county word I can't say, sheriff at the time, Art Sheely, who had actually been the first on the scene and discovered Bernice's body, had reportedly slammed Ed's head into a brick wall. But before Ed's trial even started in 1968, Art passed away from heart failure at the age of 43, which family and friends say is because of how traumatized he became after working this case. And many people had to quit their jobs. Like, they went insane after that. On November 21st, 1957, after the discovery of Bernice and Ed's home, Ed was arraigned on one count of first-degree murder, to which he pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity. He was then diagnosed with schizophrenia and Oedipal, I think that's how you pronounce it, complex, which is a socioanalytic theory in which one experiences the desire of sexual involvement with with a parent from the opposite sex and has a sense of rivalry with the parent of the same sex. So it's a Freudian complex. Yeah. Because of this, Ed was ruled mentally incompetent and unfit for trial. He was then sentenced to the Central State Hospital for the Criminally Insane. By 1968, he was deemed fit by doctors and professionals after treatment to stand trial, which began on November 7th, 1968, lasting only 1 week. On November 14th, Ed Gein was found guilty of the first-degree murder of Bernice Warden. Gein was sentenced to life in a mental hospital. In March of 1958, before his trial, Ed's home was destroyed by a fire, but it was called the House of Horrors. Cleaning crews allegedly discovered 2 sets of human remains buried on the property. However, that was not his MO, so they never really thought it was related ever, because he would, keep the bones.
Right.
So I don't know if you noticed, but I only confirmed 2 murders and 9 grave site robberies. Yet there was enough skin to cover the bodies of 20 humans found in his home. And murdering 2 people does not qualify you as a serial killer. Ed was thought to have murdered 7 others who had gone missing in the area, including 2 teenage girls and 2 men who he had met at the same tavern that he killed Molly Hogan at. After they spent the day hunting, gotten drunk, and Ed offered them a ride home. They were never seen again. Ed Gein died at Mendota Medical Health Institute on July 26, 1984, at the age of 77 after battling with lung cancer as a result of respiratory failure. He was buried beside his family at the Plainfield Cemetery, where his gravestone was stolen in 2000, but it was found a year later in Seattle, Washington at a pawn shop. The grave remains unmarked, but not unknown. And that's the case of Ed Gein.
Fucking way.
I hated that.
Yeah.
Loved it.
That was the worst I've ever done.
What? Yeah. Oh my God.
Like, in terms of gore.
Yeah.
That was the worst I've ever done in terms of gore.
I knew whenever you started saying women, I knew he was trying to recreate his mom. Mm-hmm. Did I think he was going to be wearing his mom?
Fuck no.
That is so sick.
That is so sick.
That is deranged.
That he's
There are
fucked
no
up.
words.
Feral.
I just, that brings like Bates Motel to a whole nother level.
Yeah. Once you know the story of Ed Gein, I can't. That's why I don't watch American Horror Story Asylum. That's why I never watch Bates Motel. I can't fucking get behind it.
Wait, so he was who in American Insane or the Insane?
Dr. Odin.
He was the doctor.
The doctor.
Like, and that the doctor was inspired by him.
And Norman Bates, the dude that has the Freudian complex.
Sense. That's why I was thinking, like, was his mom perfectly put in the bed in her room, like, preserved?
Oh, yeah, because she was in the show.
He never robbed her grave. Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Which I was like, okay, just go rob her grave then.
Just literally wear her skin.
Right. Literally do that. Why take
those
other
poor
people?
children?
Maybe she was. That
he babysat. Seeing that every day.
They're all in therapy.
Oh, yeah. Could you imagine?
Well, the poor kids are like, no, there's faces on the wall, and the parents are like, oh, it's masks. Or...
Yeah, they're from where?
He collects them from the Philippines.
Yeah, they're from the Philippines.
No, they were real fucking
like,
human
no,
skulls.
Mom, there's literally...
It's the nipple belt for me.
It's the lips on the freaking thing for me.
It's the vulvas for me.
Oh, God, the vulvas.
I was like...
What is the plural?
Vulvae.
The vulvae.
Vulvae. Also, the face lamp is just iconic. Like, that's taken a hold of Hollywood. Like,
yes, it has.
Yeah.
I was going to say that. Like, how many times have we seen that? I could picture immediately what it is, and I know we all can too.
yeah. That's why I saved it for the last on the list. I was
And
like,
the fact that all of this happened in the 50s.
yeah.
People at that time, I mean, no wonder that poor man died so young. He was so disturbed.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what do you think he killed his brother?
Yeah, they think he killed his brother.
think
It was
I
like
was
a
gonna
Cain
say
and Abel
that.
situation.
See, I was wondering what if the mom killed the brother?
Oh, because
He was like doing well. She could have killed him for multiple reasons.
Or she could have convinced the brother to kill him.
yeah, had Ed killed
Because he was
Henry.
not following any of her rules. He was
Dating a girl.
Dating a girl. He had friends. He was going out.
right.
I don't know.
I wonder. No, because he was okay when firefighters arrived.
To me, it makes sense that that was maybe one of his earlier killings.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if he like I almost said not to get gruesome, but like that's the point of this podcast.
Jesus Christ.
I wonder if he like started with animals and deer and like hunting, and that's why he was so intimately.
And he was gutting them. Like,
Yeah,
that's
like
disgusting
that
to
is
say,
a
but
whole other level.
Like a
Yeah, because
deer,
they
like you would
hunted.
string up
They
a
owned their
deer.
farm. They hunted a lot. Sorry, my mic is like literally falling apart. I don't know if y'all can hear this, but it's literally falling apart.
we have had some serious mic issues this episode, guy. Anyway, sorry. Taylar, thank you for that story. That was actually disgusting.
Yeah, it was actually fucked up.
I had never heard of him before.
Me neither.
Really?
I had very vaguely like known about the lamp.
Yeah.
That like stuck out in my mind when you told me,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't know who all of those other people were based off of in Hollywood.
Me neither.
He's like pegged America's most bizarre serial killer. And
Yeah.
he's sometimes not even considered a serial killer
Yeah, by definition.
by definition because he technically only killed 2 people that we know of.
The creepiest vision that I have of this whole story is him in the meat suit under
Oh
the
my
moon,
God, yeah.
in the
Dancing in the
mask,
field.
on the field.
Yeah, and he ate all the meat from the humans' bodies.
Oh my God, yeah, and he was.
The heart marinating. I'm done. We're done.
We're done.
Done.
And on that note,
On that note, by the way, what Morgan was talking about earlier is literally halfway through our story. Oh my God, is it doing it again?
That's why I nodded at you.
No,
That's
halfway through our shit, dude. Our you're gonna have to explain it. I'm drained.
Our we all said the same word at the same exact time, and our microphones like synced
Didn't
to
know
one
what to do.
to one mic. So we had to go back and like
It was
re-record 10
insane. It was,
minutes.
and we had recorded for like 20 minutes at that point.
I'm glad we caught it though.
Yeah, thank God. I would have lost my mind.
I would have lost my mind.
I'd be like, here, take the mic with you on. Sorry, Marley's bachelorette party.
I don't know if I could have. It happened before she read off the list of terrible things.
Yeah.
So I couldn't have heard that again.
Yeah, no, thank God. Thank God.
yeah,
Could you
and they
imagine
would have
having
had
to
our
read-
initial reaction.
I was shaking reading through that.
Yeah, that was tough. Today was tough.
Wow, you guys
Why
got
do we
through
do
it,
that to
though.
ourselves?
Guys,
Why do we
so
do that to
sorry.
Arletta?
Yeah, wow.
And we're like, Arletta, come on. You're gonna be in
This
town
is
perfect
why I'll
one.
only be on once every year. Catch me next year.
See you in season 3.
Be in season 3.
What do you
Because
want?
of what
What do you
go-
want from me in season 3? Do you want?
You know I want conspiracy. You know
you're
I love
right.
that shit. We like took a break to go to the bathroom and like get water in between these stories and just to breathe because Morgan's was just as heavy. And I'm like talking to Morgan the whole time like conspiracy is what I think. I just that's
We have
all
to
I
save a
know about.
good, huge conspiracy for you. Like one of your top ones.
Yeah. Wait, what if we've talked about this before? Mm-hmm. What is it that I want to come on for? I'll think about it.
It's the whole. It's a Hollywood thing, right?
Oh
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything with Hollywood, I'm your girl.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
love that shit.
Okay, I guess we'll let you guys go now. You're probably fucking scared of us now.
Yeah. See you later.
Bye, guys.
Love
Thanks
you.
for hanging out.
Thanks
with us.
for popping on, Arletta. We love you.
You're
Miss you.
welcome. I love you guys.